After a lifetime of work, I rewarded myself with a new vehicle, and I enjoy it so much I want to protect it. So I bought a cover for it. I put it on every night. It only takes about 30 seconds to put it on, but I wondered where I was going to put the cover. Well, I thought just build something that holds the cover, and I built this. It's a nice simple little design, and it's got a stop in the front for the tires so it don't go in too far, and when I roll up the cover and put it on there, it leaves it hanging, so when I come back in the garage I just pull in and the front part of the car fits itself to the cover. So we'll proceed and show you exactly what it looks like when the cover is off here, and be back in just a second. I folded the cover back up. You can see how it sits on there. It's very easy, very convenient. I glued a piece of flannel sheet to the bottom of the cover to make sure that I'm not rubbing too much on my nice hood here, and put a little demarcation here just to kind of guide myself in on it. But that's how the cover sits on the stand, and when I pull away, the front of it just drags down, and when I pull back in, it just kind of fits underneath there and kind of seats itself. So it's a handy way to store your cover and a handy way to take it on and off real quick. You can see what the front of it looks like and how easy it is to just pull your car in there, and I've moved it back. It's so easy. If you want to detail your car, you just pull it on back, put it out of the way, and you can detail the front of your car. And but it's a heck of a nice setup and real easy to use. I wanted to show you some other protections I've done on the car. I put my own seat covers in this. I use a bath towel on elastic bands to start with to protect the seat, and the next layer was some Australian merino sheepskin. I bought sheepskin covers, which is this material here, real nice and plush, and that's the second layer on my seats. And then the third layer is I bought a big tablecloth and got material out of it and put the final covering of cloth over it. Again, I use elastic bands around the seat, sew them together and get a tight fit, snug. Everything took a little work to design everything and make it work, but I've protected my seats, the front seats there. The front floor, I took some of this workstation material and formed it to the floor, and then I glued cloth over it, and I think I can protect my flooring carpet for quite a while. You can see how much dirt just normal usage gets on there and how much wear and tear is on there, and I want to protect it. Here in the back seat I have made a seat for Freddie the dog, our rescue black lab, and these are deep bucket seats here too. I took foam. First off, I took a big bed sheet, covered everything, and I took foam and formed the foam over the bucket seats so that they're straight across, and straight across here got a 16-inch wide piece of black indoor-outdoor carpeting and put it on some pegboard to make it a little bit stiffer. Not real stiff, but here I poked through for his leash to make sure he don't jump out the car. And in the middle I brought this out here, and it's really nice 1/2-inch foam here, and it's really nice for the elbows, and it protects this console in case old Freddy comes up the front seat. But I've tucked in the sides fairly easy, and it went in pretty easy. Nothing is attached to the original seats. To hold this down and firm, I put a 3/4 inch galvanized pipe about 3 feet long and connected it to the cloth, and that pulls it down and keeps it in place. and it still has plenty of clearance for the top mechanism to work properly. On my trunk, I've done a little extra work on it. I put carpeting all over the, not carpeting, tablecloth. Well, this is actually canvas material here, but I've covered the whole trunk with it to protect the trunk carpeting. I've got a bowl in here for Freddie the dog for water. This is something I made to keep the convertible side covers in, and bought an extra wrench here for the lug nuts in case I ever have to loosen the lug nuts. I don't have to go in to the below the trunk. I've got a little box here that holds the manual, and in here I put all the papers that came with the car, and plus some mementos. But I also, when the car came, it had this metallic metal silver that went down through the spokes all the way. And first impression was, boy, that's extremely sharp. But the more I looked at it, I wanted it to be a sporty car. So I painted those silver strips that came down here, masked off the middle hub, and painted them spokes black. And I personally like it because I think it looks sportier and looks pretty nice. So not only have I made this convenient for Freddie the dog to ride along whenever we go on a little casual trip, I also made, out of the kindness of my heart, I made a little step for Freddie. I just move the seat up, put this here, he jumps here. There is also a pad or a little step in here with rubber covering over it that he just hops on there, hops on that pad, and goes up on the seat. It's a pretty nice setup for old Freddie. He's a good dog. So that's kind of some of the things I did. I've got one more thing I want to show you here, and I'll get to that in just a second. I wanted to protect the car even more, so I did something kind of unusual. I found a body shop that would paint the underbody of my car. I wanted everything metal underneath painted. I used a safety blue, a light blue for contrast. You can't see anything from when the car's parked, but you can see it here where it was up on the rack and how three guys for 2.5 days worked on it. I painted the rotors and the calipers here. This is a partially on the way done picture of the calipers and the rotor. Here is the underside, and everything metal underneath this car has got 2-3 coats of oil-based Rust-Oleum enamel. Pretty tough stuff, and they did a heck of a good job. Taped off a lot of things, had to spray some spots to get into deep corners with the can, but overall they did a heck of a nice job. And I don't drive it if there's a 10% chance of rain or better, or if the roads are wet and sloppy. But it does have extra protection underneath the car that I think will really make this car last quite a bit longer and look nicer for quite a bit longer. And but that's how I protected my car, and I really enjoy it. And it's got a 10-speed, 310 horsepower, and it will sit you back in the seat if you downshift. I got paddle shifters on it. You just go down a couple of speeds, go from 10th gear down to 8th, 9th, get it up to about 4,000 RPM, and you punch it, and it will push you back in the seat. And that's the other thing about these seats. The original seats, leather, super hot in the summer, super cold in the winter. With the sheepskin, it's a very comfortable seat to sit in the middle of the winter, and you can leave your top up 2-3 hours and come back, and you won't be scalding your feet when you sit in the seats. It does have heated and cooled seats, but I'm not a big believer in using them. So the seats also does one thing I've noticed. When I got this car, it's fun to play with. and I went around a couple corners and just downshifted and put her high RPM and gunned it, well, it just about gets away from you. A little scary. I've scared myself 2 or 3 times with this car. But with these seats, it kind of takes away from that deep bucket to where you're really hugged in there and you don't go anywhere when you go around a fast corner. But now with these seats, it's kind of settled me down because I don't have that racing urge, because it's more like a conventional seat. So even though I didn't intend to make the car safer, by putting in these seats, it made me safer. So there's the car. Here's Freddie's back seat in the back. He really enjoys his ride. You have to detail his slobber off of here about every time you come home. He's got a little bit of slobber around there. But really like my new car, and I want to protect it. So I've came up with the cover stand, redid the wheels the way I like them, painted the calipers and rotors, painted the underside framework and all the metal underneath the car, protected it, redid the seats the way I like them, did the floor mats to where the floor carpeting is protected, gave Freddie a real nice seat in the back seat here, real nice cushion, and it fits really nice and looks nice, and protected my trunk with another layer of canvas cloth type material. Built a few boxes to contain whatever I want to bring home and carry, and also created that little box there to hold my side pieces, which go right in here and finish off when you're riding with the top down. But there's the car. There's how I protected it, and I think 10 years from now, 15 years from now, whoever gets this car when I'm going, if they just take a blunt nose scissors and cut away the cloth on the seats and remove them, that interior should be as fresh as the car was when as it was when the car was new. The floors should be the same way too. But that's what I've done to protect my car.